SwordsoulMateo, Augusto, Renteria, Pastor of Peru. And in the red corner, it's Santiago, Marion Lopez. I believe we've seen both of these duelists before. We see DragonLink over here on Santiago's side. And Juan Mateo was our Sword Soul duelist.
That's right.
On the first day.
It looks like Santiago was able to go first. It looks like he started off with the spell card, I can't tell, but he did go with the Black Metal Dragon, the Link into Striker Dragon. That got him into, oh, it's a quick launch, I bet, because there is that Rocket Tracer on the field. So he's able to add Boot Sector launch, and the Black Metal added that Red Eyes Darkness Metal. Now he's going to banish that Striker Dragon to special summon the Red Eyes Darkness Metal to bring back that Black Metal Dragon. So now he's linking away the 2 dragons for a Link 2.
Yeah, very strong start here. Quick launch plus Black Metal Dragon.
Very strong.
Almost as good as it gets.
We saw a lot of Dragon Link yesterday, but not a lot of quick launch, which is one of the most powerful cards in the deck. So while we were seeing the deck really operate at a pretty good capacity, quick launch really takes it to another level. It's a good way to extend past any sort of disruption your opponent has. But that Dragonian Knight Romulus did add Dragon Ravine from the deck to the hand, and now Dragon Ravine's going to discard another copy of Quick Launch. An abundance of Quick Launches here, but holding the Ash Blossom for the Dragon Ravine. This is huge. Dragon Ravine is used to either access the Bestial Lubellion from the deck, if you have something like Starleaf Safer to add it back from the graveyard, or to send Abza Dragon to grab a rocket monster from your deck to your hand.
And I would imagine the normal summon's already been played with the Black Metal Dragon.
I believe so.
So this could stop him and get Juan Mateo a turn. He's got Quick Launch number 3!
You see Juan kind of laugh about it. He opened with 3 copies of Quick Launch. I guess if you see your opponent discarding Quick Launch with Dragon Ravine, you have to expect maybe another copy on top of that.
I don't think so.
No.
It's a 2%er, right?
It really
Opening all 3?
Oh, no. Well, yeah, you're talking to the guy who drew 3 Reborn Tinkers in the finals, so don't talk to me about percentages. 2%, 100% of the time, but that's a really good card. It's not once per turn, so being able to use 2 of these is huge. So he's still able to access another copy of Rocket Tracer. Now he's linking that away for Guard Dragon Pisty.
Now these 2 are going to be used to make, I believe, the Triple Burst Dragon.
Yep, really useful in getting the zones pointing, or the link arrows pointing to a zone, so you're able to special summon a dragon back.
And Rocket Tracer hits the field again.
Now it looks like he's going to use the Tracer effect to destroy Dragon Ravine to special summon a rocket from the deck, and now for the rest of the turn, he'll only be able to special summon dark monsters from the extra deck.
As if there aren't, a wealth of incredibly powerful dark monsters that are also dragons that go in your extra deck.
Plenty of options, and that Tracer's going to summon Rocket Recharger, and he's going to link away the rest of his monsters for Boral Dragon. The Boral Dragon is going to negate the Rocket Recharger to bring back Rocket Tracer from the graveyard, and then he'll be able to synchro summon both for Boral Savage Dragon.
This is a really, really strong start. Not insurmountable, though.
Yep, and he gets to get that Triple Burst. That's a Link 3, so he's going to get some extra counters out of that.
Yep, 3 Boral counters. You can use one of them each turn to negate the activation of something, and then we get the extra attack points from the equip card as well, which brings it up to 4,200.
And that is a solid board. We'll see how Juan will be able to respond. We saw him do pretty well going second yesterday. I believe he might have actually won the die roll and chose to go second. I think that is his strategy with his Sword Soul deck, is to blind go second.
Now you're going to take a look at the graveyard. They're having that 3rd quick launch. Really unexpected, really unlikely. Juan's strategy was perfect here, waiting for the Dragon Ravine to get the Abza. Like, it doesn't matter if the Abza or the Bestial Rebellion. Either way, you don't want them to have it. So having the Ash there is crucial.
And I told you, the blind second is what he chooses to do with his Sword Soul deck, because he main deck copies of Dark Ruler no more.
Well, that'll do it. That shuts off Santiago's monster effects. Because the monster effect that was allowing the equip of Triple Burst Dragon was negated there, the equip card falls off. And that'll bring the attack points down and remove the counters as well. So that's something interesting about counters. Counters, the ability to have a counter is not inherent to any particular card. It's always due to some kind of effect. Either a different effect lets you do it, or the card's own effect lets it have the counters. And if the card's own effect is letting it have the counters, as in the case here, if it's negated, it loses those counters.
Wow, and he's going to special summon the incredible Ecclesia from the hand. Ash Blossom, Dark Ruler, incredible Ecclesia. I love Sword Soul. Awesome opening here for Juan. I mean, versus 3 quick launches, this is incredible here for our first semifinal match.
Checks the extra deck real fast. What are we going to do about that extremely large dragon?
He's going to normal summon Sword Soul of Moye.
Whoa, that's pretty good. You got a Worm to reveal. Yes, Tinny Spirit at Hara.
Oh man, this is an excellent start here for Juan. I know both these guys are friends. I actually saw them walking in the building together, arms around each other. They're just happy to be here. It's going to be a bittersweet moment, but I know whoever wins this will be happy for the other one.
Now you get a level 8 Synchro Monster. Level 8 Synchro Monster, and that's going to be SwordsoulMateo.
Yep, Chainlink 1 Chixiao, Chainlink 2 Moye. Moye is going to draw a card. Chixiao is going to be able to add it or banish any Sword Soul card from the deck.
Chain to that with Incredible Ecclesia's Quick Effect to special summon a Sword Soul monster. So we're going to get all of these cards out of the deck now so that the draw has the highest chance of getting you something that you weren't able to search out.
This is the semifinals. He's going to use that Incredible Ecclesia to tribute to summon Sword Soul Ataya from the deck. Taya's pretty awesome at clearing boards. Oh, looks like he did. It looks like he did. He chained Ecclesia as Chainlink 3.
Yes.
Okay, I was like, he didn't resolve these effects yet. Makes sense. You want to get that Taya out of your deck to thin your deck a little more before you get your draw.
Yeah, I missed the order of the chain. I thought he set it up so that both searches would happen first and then the draw would happen last. But he protected the Chixiao from Ash Blossom and put the draw on top of that as Chainlink 2.
Yep, definitely.
And then I guess even if you use the Ecclesia here, you can try to fish out the Ash Blossom as well.
True. And now the Chixiao's going to add the Long Yuan. This Taya, it smells like Boxia to me. Boxia really great. So Taya is really good to go into Boxia as opposed to Moye because the Sword Soul token is a water token. So Moye is also a water. So if you synchro into Boxia there, you're only going to get to spin back one card. But if you use Taya, it is a wind. So it'll have wind and water. So you get two attributes to make Boxia, allowing you to spin two cards from the field back to the deck.
And the key here is that it's the number of different attributes you use to make it.
Exactly. Anti also has the extra effect of being able to send any worm from your deck to the graveyard when it's used, which can be really useful in the Sword Soul deck. And with the Long Yuan, this game could be almost over.
There it is. There's Boxia, Brightness of the Yang Zing, two different attributes used. Now, the protection effect of Borderland Dragon was negated there by Dark Ruler No More. Don't forget, it can't be destroyed by card effects, can't be targeted by monster effects.
Yeah, the Dark Ruler No More is huge. It was going to allow Juan to break the board, but he's not going to be able to finish Santiago off just yet. But he'll be able to build his own board and make it pretty difficult for Santiago to come back in. We already saw 3 quick launches into the graveyard, him sitting on a couple cards in hand. We'll have to see where Juan goes next.
Now the key here is right now the only disruption is the Chixiao. So let's see if he can advance further beyond this.
Yeah, he sent the Ashuna with the Taya, so now he's going to be able to discard the Adhara he revealed.
And he's got the Long Yuan as well.
Yeah, I think it's what he added with the Chixiao.
Yes.
And now he's going to also, as soon as he summons the Long Yuan, he's going to get that token. And then this is where the decision process comes into play. Is he going to use the Ashuna from Grave to be able to special summon a worm from his deck? But that'll lock him into only being special summon worms, or do you go into Baron?
I think you got to get Baron.
It looks like he discards Vishuda instead. Nope, it looks like he's considering.
Checking the graveyard there. Though I suppose if you don't do it now, are you going to have a follow-up? No, you got to get Baron. So there's only 2 cards in Santiago's hand, right?
Baron Chixiao's pretty strong.
Baron gets one of them. The Chixiao's probably going to get another, which would leave him 1 more card to work with on top of that.
And DragonLink, a really strong deck. It does have a decent follow-up, but it does invest a lot of his cards into that first wave of combos.
And also keep in mind, no damage this turn. Dark Ruler No More was played.
Yeah, it's all about the board setup. The Long One, in fact, won't inflict any damage thanks to Dark Ruler No More.
It will not. And no battle
as I learned
damage
yesterday.
No battle damage from these 2 synchros either.
So he's taking a moment to consider if he wants.
Maybe taking a little too long here.
Thinking about he's trying to find a way maybe even going to Chao Feng, but I don't think. Oh yeah, he could. He could just banish the Ashuna to summon Adhara from the deck, and then synchro with the Boxia, and then I don't know how many light monsters the DragonLink deck would be shut down by that. I guess Seals. I'm thinking Baron here.
Yeah, it's a tough choice. I do think he's going to wind up getting a penalty on this one for slow play. And as he makes the move there, as you see, we talked about this yesterday about how when you're judging in a case like this, what you do is you wait for him to make the play and then you issue the warning for it. So yeah, I think that is easily the correct call.
Okay, this is pretty good though, because this way he will have Chao Feng and the Sinister Long Yuan. And if you get something like Sword Soul Blackout, I love that with Chao Feng, because you can destroy your Chao Feng with Blackout, you get to destroy 2 cards, and then the Chao Feng lets you add a tuner from your deck to your hand, so you can grab something like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring.
So we're going Sinister first.
Oh, you might as well, so you get that draw.
Oh, we talked about the Hyper Librarian type effect yesterday, but we didn't get to see it.
There's a chance Santiago still has something like... We saw some Dragon Link players playing Nibiru the Primal Being in their Dragon Link deck.
You'd have to use it right now, though, because otherwise you're going to be locked into light monsters.
Yep, and he didn't drop it, so now there is no chance to activate light effects.
So Sinister Long One gives him that draw.
Since he summoned the Synchro monster that is a worm.
Now, we didn't see Blackout added, so I think he has it?
He'd have to hard draw it, but it doesn't look like it. So it looks like he is just going to cut him off from using light effects. Has the Sinister... I mean, the Sinister Long
Seyfert.
No, Seyfert is a good one.
Seyfert.
So he does have Boot Sector, so that's going to cause the Sinister Long One effect to banish and inflict 1,200 points of damage to Santiago.
That's an easy one there, otherwise multiple rockets are going to come back.
From the graveyard, yes.
And that's going to be it.
Wow. Juan's strategy paying off here. We didn't get to see who won the die roll, but I'd imagine, I know that they're friends, so I know that Santiago probably knows that Juan is choosing to go second with his Sword Soul deck. So if I had to guess, Juan is the one who won the die roll and let his opponent go first, because he just built his deck that way. Sometimes if you build your Sword Soul deck correctly, going second can be quite easy, especially when you draw something like Dark Ruler No More. Iconically, one of the best cards against Dragon Link. Some of the older Dragon Link strategies use Chamber Dragon Maid, so you'd be able to summon that still, so you could get access to Dragon Maid Tidying. So you can kind of layer your disruptions to where you're not going to automatically get blown out by something like Dark Ruler No More. But in this case, now they've more so changed to where they're focusing on that Boral-In Dragon, Borreload Savage Dragon, so not really focusing on the Dragon Maid as much, but really got to see that deck construction is an important part into the game, and being, especially in a tournament with only like 28 other players, even though there was 14 different decks, you can still kind of prepare for the whole field, and it looks like Juan might have done that, and now he's just one game win away from making it to the finals of the World Championship. That's insane.
You know, one of the things that's always interested me with Dragon Link is kind of the balance between, like we talked about it yesterday, where you choose your own strengths and weaknesses. And in this case, you're choosing between having the strongest starts possible or giving yourself increased longevity with those Chamber Dragon Maids and Dragon Maid Tidying.
Exactly. And just being able to like anticipate what is going to be coming from opponent, anticipate what cards the players are going to be using against you is going to really determine, like, are you going to have that layered disruption? Are you going to be ready to expect people to be main decking copies of Dark Ruler No More? I don't know how many players did expect that, because I know going in this tournament, I mean, Dragon Link was one of the decks that a lot of people were looking at, but so was Labyrinth. And when you have a deck like Labyrinth, your Dark Ruler No More is not going to do too much against a lot of spell and trap cards. But Juan, you know, making that tough decision to go with the Sword Soul deck and main decking copies of Dark Ruler No More, really paying off, paying dividends. Because you have to imagine, most people in the tournament, they're going to choose to go first when they win. So when you design your deck to go second, it can be scary, but it can pay off big.
So if I were in his head and trying to go through the thought process here, and I'm thinking, okay, there's Labyrinth, okay, there's Dragon Link. Well, Labyrinth is a lot easier to gun for than Dragon Link. Dragon Link is a very free-form deck. You can play a lot of different stuff. There's a ton of different special summons. It's difficult to stop effectively while the combo is going on versus, you know, defeating it afterwards. Whereas you can do both to Labyrinth in a lot of cases.
Very true.
And I figure when he's building his deck, he probably thinks, okay, Labyrinth is going to have the biggest target on it, so much so that maybe people just won't bring it at all, and they'll all just jump to the Dragon Link ship. So I'm going to build my deck to beat that instead, and just side deck anything I need for Labyrinth if it shows up.
Yeah, I think that might have been the case here this weekend. I mean, for all we know, these players also test with each other. As I mentioned, I've watched them, you know, this whole weekend. I've been talking to them. They're very friendly with each other. It's a bittersweet game, but they know that one of their friends is going to be moving on to the finals. And
it's just bittersweet semifinals in
on
general.
Both sides.
Jeremy and Polly over on the other side too.
Yeah, that's another semifinal match that's going on right now. Yeah, Jeremy and Polly, they actually played in the last round, in round 7 of the Swiss tournament, where Jeremy was able to defeat Polly, putting Polly down to a 4-3 record, but he was one of the 2 4-3s that had strong enough tiebreakers to still make it in.
And that was because the 2 tier 1 players drew as well and only made it to 11 points instead of 13.
Yeah, I think it's so funny that tier just had to be the only thing that ruined tier was tier itself. Otherwise, we might have seen a tier 11 deck make the top 8 of the World Championship.
All right, looks like they are just about ready to get started on this game number 2. Is Juan Mateo, Augusto, Renteria, Pastor headed through to the finals, or can Santiago force this thing to a deciding game 3?
Will Santiago make Juan go first? That is what I'm most curious about. I think you have to. Oh, nope, he's pointing at himself.
Go first.
Terrifying.
Because that's the thing, right? That's what's so scary about it, is you can't force them to go first. Because if they just do all their Sword Soul stuff, you're probably not getting through it.
That's the conundrum for sure.
You're not going to get 3 quick launch every single time.
Santiago looking at his hand. This could be the last hand he draws for the tournament. Both these players, excellent duelists, deserve to be here in the semifinals. One will be going on to the finals. I just think it's so awesome that no matter what, we are going to have a North America versus Latin America finals.
Starleash Seyfert is the normal summon.
Solid. Good way to start. At least we'll have access to the baby dragons.
As long as it goes through. Summon is fine. Juan isn't even looking at his hand. Does he have nothing or is he bluffing?
Could be both the classic questions I ask myself in a duel every time. Oh, here he picks it back up.
Picks up his hand.
Nothing.
Nothing yet.
I thought maybe an Ash Blossom would come down here. It looked like Santiago was deciding whether he wanted to link away the Seyfert or use its effect. Looks like he decided to use it. I think, oh man, and the time he's taking to consider it makes me think his hand is not that strong.
Goes with Wyvern Burster. Okay, we don't have a Dark Monster yet,
oh,
but we do have Chaos Space, and that fixes the problem.
So he's trying to bait out an Ash Blossom and Joy Spring there, so this Chaos Space doesn't get Ash potentially. Discards a Druistorm, that's a Dark, so he's going to be able to add a Light here.
Gets the Bestial Lubellion.
Be able to add a Light that cannot be normal summoned or set. Bestial Lubellion, he'll be able to discard. Add a Bestial from deck to hand.
Goes for Magnemite.
One of the best dragons around. We talk about how new dragon cards are always being released. Bestial Magnemite is what?
You can get them all.
One. You can get any dragon monster from your deck at the end phase. Here comes the Wyvern Burster. He's going to be banishing that Druisworm from the graveyard.
Ron, how many summons here now?
1, 2. Here comes 3. It's going to be Striker Dragon, I have to imagine. So now he'll be able to add Boot Sector Launch and Collapse Serpent. Chainlink 1 Striker Dragon, Chainlink 2 Wyvern Burster. Yep, when the Wyvern Burster sends to the graveyard, it gets to add Collapse Serpent, the dynamic duo. Both limited to 1, thanks to the TCG Forbidden Unlimited list.
There's 4. Now we've got the Chaos Space. Going to banish that. Shuffle the deck, because we're going to play a drawing effect now. Yep, we've got new shuffling procedures in place for this World Championship to cut down on the time needed to randomize decks. We're only randomizing them when we need to.
Yeah, Dragon Link's one of those decks, like no matter what kind of hand you draw, you can usually find a way to get to the same path to get you to the result that you're looking for. I really like that. Same thing with Monadium. That's the same kind of like vibes I get with the decks, where you can like kind of freestyle it, as you mentioned. You just find a way to get to where you need to go.
So 2 monsters linked away. Are we going Seals? We're going Romulus.
I think this will be the 5th summon too.
Yes, so we're going Romulus.
Gonna be able to add the Wyvern Burster. You can only summon it. We can only add once per turn. He's going to add Dragon Ravine as well.
I wonder if we're going to see the same thing here, where he's holding off on that Ash all the way to Dragon Ravine.
I imagine it worked for him worked pretty well for him game 1, even though he still was able to make the board. I guess the Dark Ruler no more was the big part. Discards Boot Sector launch.
Well, he hasn't seen the rocket part of the deck yet.
True. So I guess this means he's going to be going for Levianeer, maybe?
Drop Levianeer, bring it back with Seyfert.
Called it. Dragon Ravine, really versatile in the Dragon Link deck. You can really do a lot of things with it. You can access Levianeer, the Bestial Lubellion, or your whole rocket engine.
So So how many of those monsters in the graveyard are dark versus light? We're going to take a look at that right now. Juan is asking the very same question.
I think I saw a dark and 2 light. No, it's 2 darks and a light.
All right, so that would be the mixed effect of Chaos Dragon Legionnaire if it was summoned right now. Not as dangerous currently.
He still has that Magnemite. Yep, here comes Bestial Magnemite, gonna banish.
I think he's gonna try to go for a card out of the hand and get to 3 darks.
I think so. I think that is his goal here. But it's gonna be tough. Yeah, because he's gonna have to banish a dark for this, because the only light he has in his graveyard is the Bestial Rebellion, which he probably wants to summon.
Keep that. Magma effect activates during the end phase. Santiago will be able to add any dragon from his deck to his hand. Oh, there is the rocket part of the deck. Quick launch into Rocket Tracer.
Yeah, you don't need the boot sector if you're just going to summon the Tracer from your deck, and he's going to Synchro 10. Is it going to be Baron or Chaos Angel? Oh, Bestial Dispatter, of course.
Bestial Dispatter. He's got to get some kind of insurance here and be able to get back to Safer.
I love Bestial Dispatter. So he's going to tribute the Bestial Dispatter to bring back the Bestial Rebellion. We might be able to see Branded Regain bring back Bestial Dispatter.
There it is, Branded Regained.
Gets to activate it from, or place it from the deck onto the spell and trap card zone. Branded Regain has a cool effect that if your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can special summon back a Bestial, including Dispatter. Now we're going to link away the Safert.
There is the Pisty. Note you got to put it down in that left-hand zone, right? Because its arrow points to the right, and the guard dragons need to have a single zone that 2 different link monsters point to. So there's Triple Burst Dragon and the Guard Dragon Pisty, both pointing to that zone right beneath the extra monster zone.
The Guard Dragons, the last remaining of the Guard Dragons.
The last Guard Dragon, yes.
Agrabane and LP have fallen. All right, so he's going to bring back Bestial Druistorm from the banished zone. I think we have 36 minutes left. That extra time pays off here in the semifinals. Get 55 minutes.
Now, while that Guard Dragon Pisty is on the field, and he's probably checking this out right now, only dragons can be summoned.
Yep, definitely something you want to keep in mind. Now he's going to banish 3 darks. I think it looks like he might have to actually banish the Dispotter, but it will also be able to activate the Branded Regain's other effect. If a lighter dark is banished, you can put it on the bottom and draw a card.
Yeah, you really want to go fishing for those board breakers right here. You don't want to get hit by Dark Ruler No More again into a full field wipe.
To me, discarding a card in your opponent's hand, that's like iconic Yu-Gi-Oh! That's like been an iconic effect from the past that still is good to this day if you can send a card from your opponent's hand to the graveyard.
There are many cards that do that you just aren't allowed to play anymore. It's because it's that strong.
For good reason.
Especially if you get to look. 1, 2, 3 dark monsters.
Alright, so it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Probably reroll if it's a 6.
And on top of that, we're going to get the Branded Regained effect, put Striker Dragon back into the extra deck.
Definitely want to do that since it is at 1. You want to be able to reuse that on the following turn or potentially in the same turn. So already off to a better start here for Santiago.
So far, he's been playing completely unopposed.
4.
Number 4, that's going to go back to the deck. And be shuffled in.
I wish we got to see it.
I'm sure Santiago does as well, but it'll just have to be a mystery. All right, so Juan's going to be starting his turn on only 4 cards, drawing to 5 instead of 5, drawing to 6. That's 3 and a 1 can make up to 4. It's got to be a dragon. But they can also just be used as a single material, and that'll make seals.
Yeah, he's not locked into darks. He never used the quick effect of Tracer. So he's not even going for the Boral in, just going for seals to be a little safer. And he has a face-down Speller Trap card, too. Could be something like, I don't even know. We'll have to wait and see. I imagine just maybe a side deck card, yeah, Imperm or something from the side deck.
Anti-spell fragrance. There's a lot of stuff that they use. Could just be.
It looks like end phase is going to be black metal to the hand for follow-up for next turn, since that Striker Dragon is back in the extra deck thanks to Branded Regained.
Eradicator epidemic virus, presumably calling spells.
That's huge against those board breaker cards like Dark No More, Sword Soul Emergence.
That's got to be a side deck card.
I had a feeling it was Eradicator. I know that's everyone's favorite card at home. Haven't got to see too much of it this weekend, but it's going to be enough.
He's not going to show the hand. He's not even showing it.
Not going to be enough. Santiago taking advantage, knowing what his opponent's deck's proper side deck building, knowing that he's going to need something like Eradicator. Maybe with the Cast Driving 11, you're trying to go after some other board breaker that might not have been a spell. But yeah, the opening board is way different from his turn 1, so I knew he was up to something different.
He must have hard drawn the Eradicator.
Yeah.
That's why he played it that way.
That's why he was probably taking a long time to consider his opening gambit, since he knew like he had plays, but he wanted to make sure the best optimal line. So like, okay, well, I don't need my big board. I'm going to want to have a Seals that can disrupt a monster summon because I have the Eradicator. I'm going to go for the Levineer too because that's a good Eradicator target. And why not just take a card out of the opponent's hand? And it was piloted really well there. He had to navigate the board in a way to where he can get those 3 darks in the graveyard because at the time, not really there. So he found a way to do it and still end on Seals, not locking himself out with Tracer's Effect. Beautifully played there from Santiago.
And it's tough for Juan there. He had no way to interact on turn 1, so there's a good chance, maybe loses that one anyways without the Eradicator. But
True.
I imagine he must have had something in his hand that he did not want Santiago to see.
That is probably the case.
And just conceded immediately rather than even try to play it out.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes that's what you got to do, especially it's a time saver too. You don't want to give up too information. And time management is huge. You want to play as quickly as possible. You don't want to play as fast as possible in the last 5 minutes of the round. You want to play as fast as you can throughout the entirety of the round to where you don't even make it to those last 5 minutes. That's a key thing that I try and tell players is you just want to play at a reasonable and fast pace throughout the entire match so you don't end up in that time situation.
That's part of the point. Like the time rules, you don't want to be there. Like the time rules are not there to make you feel good about going there. They're there to end the match. So if you want to end the match on your own terms, you got to do it within the time provided.
Yep, definitely. And both these players playing excellent and quickly, which is awesome to see. And yeah, it's been a clinic here for both players, really. Like Santiago showing what his deck can do when he goes first. He probably knew that game 1 was a disadvantage for him, but as soon as he's able to dive into his side deck, also one of my favorite things about the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game is that you do have a side deck, because it literally pays off to just prepare for what you think you're going to expect in the tournament. You have those niche cards that you can put in against certain matchups, but you want to find cards that have effective against a wide variety of decks, because we had 14 different decks out of 28 players, and if you can find cards that hit multiple decks, they can really pay off for you in the end.
It's a real test of your own knowledge of the overall card pool of Yu-Gi-Oh! As well as what are the viable decks in whatever format you're going to play in. Like you got to be able to find the crossover between all of these different things. So it really rewards people who are dedicated to learning the game, learning the cards, learning what everybody else is playing as well. There's a lot of study that goes in for these World Championship competitors, especially the North American ones who only got 3 weeks to work on the entire thing. And I could tell just from talking to them and seeing how they talk to each other that they were really hitting the books over these last 3 weeks. And you can see it paid off for them as well with 4 players making it into the top 8.
Yeah, I mean, I can tell you just from my personal experience, like preparing for tournaments, it's not just like, oh, I practice like 2 hours a week every day. I went to like my local OTS, 3 times a week. It's constantly going on my head. What can I side deck against this deck? What card is good against this deck? Is there some sort of advantage I can include in my deck? It's a 24-hour thing. It's something that's constantly on my mind, and I'm sure it's the same for the players that prepared for this tournament. You got to put a lot of dedication into the game, and then you can actually sometimes figure out something. Sometimes I'll just be looking through my binder and be like, oh, I haven't thought about this card in forever. Maybe I can include it in my deck and it'll be something advantageous.
So there's some good resources for this as well if you're at home. Both the card database on the Yu-Gi-Oh! Card website and the Neuron app as well. A lot of times it'll be like, okay, well, this card in my deck can get any dragon, right? So you just, okay, I'll look at every dragon in the game. Let's take a look.
And we're going to see some dragons in this game. We'll see if Juan decides to go first or second. I think after seeing that Eradicator, he might choose to go first, but we'll have to see.
I mean, it's also just a matter of I drew no way to interact, so maybe he
True.
just does this turn, or this game. But either way, getting the choice going into Game 3 is massive.
Sword Soul versus Dragon Link, 2 of my favorite decks going at it. Whoever wins this game will be going to the finals of the World Championship.
All right, Juan's going first. Takes a look at his hand. Gets a different perspective, tilting his head to the other way. Takes another look at his hand.
No. Okay.
Okay.
I saw the tie in his hands. I was like, maybe there's no way to play, but he does have the emergence. Giving me a little bit of a scare there.
Set and flip emergence. For a second there, I thought, you know, it was just all going to go wrong. Because that's really what you don't want, is your third game to come down to your deck just not doing what it's supposed to.
Now he just has
producing like a low percentage hand that does nothing.
Very much so. And now he has to just worry about infinite impermanence. Infinite impermanence on SwordsoulMateo can be devastating if he doesn't have something like Swordsoul Longyuan.
I wonder if Santiago even has any traps other than that Eradicator. Gonna reveal
SwordsoulMateo. Just a token, gonna synchro summon for Swordsoul Chichao. Chainlink 1 Chichao, Chainlink 2 Moye gets the draw and then gets to add. See if he's gonna go after Longyuan or Blackout. We haven't even seen Blackout. We've seen him play Swordsoul a couple times, but I'm not certain if he even has Blackout in his deck. You mean, you have to. You have to at least have one so you can banish it with Chichao sometimes. All right, taking a second to consider his options. This is the most important game of the tournament.
He's got to be careful though, right? He has that slow play penalty already from game number 1 in this exact scenario. Oh, not the exact scenario. He was looking through his extra deck last time. He was looking through his deck this time, but it's effectively the same thing. I suspect there will be a little more lenience on upgrades since it is the semifinals, but this is a decision that's clearly taking too long.
Yeah, when I synchro summon monster, I usually know what I want, but it's gonna go for the Longyuan. Like as soon as I start to act, when you use an effect, it's not like the timer starts for you to think about what you want to add.
Yes, you're supposed to know what you want to add first before you activate it.
Yes.
This is also kind of baked into the rules of the game where you're expected to know what's still in your deck before you activate an effect like this.
True.
You can't activate something if you don't have something to get.
Yeah, it's a little sometimes confusing with the side deck. You might side deck out an option. Most of the time, yeah, you need to know. Oh my gosh, what a start.
Pitch Ashuna.
I have to assume he drew that off of the Taya. I think he might have led with it initially. Or off the Moye, sorry.
All right, so we're at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 summons right now.
Yep.
Santiago does not have it.
The only way to play around Nibiru is if you lead with the Longyuan into the Moye, you get the 4 summons before you can synchro for Baron, but this way, definitely you can get hit with something like Nibiru.
Now, does he figure he just doesn't have it?
Baron de Fleur.
Doesn't matter. He's going for Baron de Fleur this time, and that's going to ensure that the next time Santiago tries to do something, it's not going to happen.
The Longyuan's going to inflict 1,200 points of damage.
No Dark Ruler, no more this time.
He's going to set 1, 2, 3 cards face down. I don't like putting this in the same zone as the Baron. I'm scared of Mech Knights. I'd rather them not be the same column, but that's okay.
And notably, your hand doesn't go in the spell and trap zone. Doesn't. Anti-spell fragrance. Oh, he's giving him a taste of his own medicine, cutting him off of spell cards.
Does he have a chain for quick launch?
Like quick launch is the thing.
Anti-spell's huge against DragonLink, cutting you off of the field spells.
2, right?
No, because the Baron, yes. Doesn't look like he has any response though. But yeah, not being able to have a Boot Sector or Dragon Ravine is devastating.
So DragonLink notoriously plays no traps unless you're using the Dragon Maid stuff.
He's going to activate the Bestial Druid Worm to banish the Ashuna. I think that's the only light in the grave yard. This is intense right now.
Juan's talking through it.
This is a classic. This is throwback to the championship in North America last year when Hanze won with this kind of similar setup with Chichao, Baron, and Anti-Spell Fragrance.
Negates with Baron.
Doesn't want the Druidworm to be able to out the Baron by itself.
Does he have a second Bestial?
Bestials could be useful right now.
He does. He's got a second Bestial. It's Baldrake.
This is the way to get back into it. Multiple Bestials, multiple ways to get dragons on the field without needing to worry about spell cards. He's going to banish the Ashuna successfully this time, and Bestial Baldrake comes down.
Noctovision Dragon comes with it.
He has plenty of dragon monsters in his hand that can special summon without needing his normal summon. That is incredible. This is the way he can get back into it. He still has to worry about the Chichao and the 2 face downs.
Now, if there's the Blackout here, isn't that just devastating?
It's tough. He still has his normal summon. Right? Yeah, it gets rid of the Chi-Chao, so you lose that effect negation, and Santiago still has access to his normal summon. Having this 3 dragons he can summon from his hand without needing a normal summon is huge.
So thinking on the summon of Noctovision Dragon.
He must have Blackout, and he's deciding right now if he needs to use it. Because, I mean, even the normal summon, not as strong, because normally the normal summon goes into Striker Dragon, which can, like, snowball into Boot Sector, but with that anti-spell faced up, that won't be the case. So he's going to banish the Baldrake to summon Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon, another Dragon Special Summon.
He's probably just drawn no spells. The anti-spell isn't doing anything.
You have to use Blackout here if he has it, because otherwise he's going to bring back the Druid Worm.
Well, you can use the Chi-Chao, though. You can negate it here.
True. Okay, that makes sense.
And now there's no risk on the Blackout because you've used all of your other cards.
Yeah, if he wants to play around the Blackout, he could go to Battle Phase and attack the Chi-Chao with the Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. They'd both be destroyed, but he'd still be able to have 2 dragons on the field if he has one to normal summon and not have to worry about Sword Soul Blackout if he does in fact have a face down. We didn't see him add it. He added the Longy one off the Chi-Chao, but there's not too many traps that Sword Soul play. But if it is Blackout and like an infinite permanence, it could be just game over.
He's checking his hand again. I gotta figure he just doesn't have spells.
I mean, the double B-Steel is huge.
Double B-Steel.
Noctovision. I love Noctovision.
Plus Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon. That's just great in the face of anti-spell fragrance. Not so much the rest of this stuff, though.
So it's going to be a Link 2.
And he's going to get another draw here off the Noctovision Dragon.
What does he go for?
So getting the Ravine doesn't help because you can't play it.
Seals you can only use on your opponent's turn, but it is a monster that's not too bad.
This is another one of those things where you got to decide what you're summoning before you send the cards. Because you're stuck now, you sent the cards. You got to put something out there.
It is the Seals. Noctovision draw. This could be a big draw. He might need the draw.
Let's see what it is.
No change in his face. Oh, I said no change in his face, but then his hand went to the face.
He started moving real quick.
I'm reading into
Chaos
so many
Dragon
things.
Levianeer.
That would be insane.
He picked up those cards like he's about to toss them out of the game for Chaos Dragon.
He needs to put a light in his graveyard, though, if he wants to get the destruction effect. No! Is that the monster?
Oh, it was 2 spells! Or maybe he spit traps. He did just set that, though. Unless it wasn't something.
It might not have been a monster. He might have been setting down his hand and just... Okay, it was his hand. He was just setting his hand down before he set 2 spell traps.
Yeah, there's not really a lot of room.
The table's very small. Yeah, you can see the mat goes to the edge of the table on both sides there. There's really no place for your hand.
So perhaps a little more lenience there.
Yeah.
You know, your hand definitely doesn't go in your spell trap zones.
Yeah, I mean, I usually have like a space between my mat and this end of the table.
Well, the official game mats have like an area below the spell trap card zones where you can put it.
That's very true. But this isn't too bad. The Baron has been used. Standby phase, the Baron can return to the extra deck to bring back the Moye. Chi-Chao is going to be able to negate something, but the Seals tributes itself off the field. So it'll be able to resolve still and summon a dragon from the deck.
I guess you didn't have Blackout, because I guess you use it on the end phase then, right?
Oh yeah,
if
I would
one
definitely.
Of those was Blackout?
No, you might want to save it for this. It's tough, yeah. So he's leaving the Baron on the field, doesn't tag it out.
Destroys a card. Checks the graveyard. What is it going to be?
It has to be a spell.
Chaos Space.
Yeah, imagine there's
spells. So he did have a spell.
Juan considering his options. It's intense.
Now the thing with anti-spell fragrance is it is a double-edged sword. If Juan drew a spell this turn, he was not going to be able to play it. He'd have to set it for a full cycle of turns. Chi-Chao effect activates. He's going to draw out the Seals right now.
Yeah, I've always been kind of on the fence about anti-spell because, yeah, it cuts off your long game for the Sword Soul deck a little bit, but if it can devastate your opponent enough, it's not too bad. But
sometimes you just beat yourself with it is
true.
The issue. That's kind of the difference between that and Eradicator. Eradicator, you're not going to beat yourself, but you might just completely miss
True.
And get no value out of it. In Anti-Spell Fragrance, you can either knock yourself out of the game or take them out. It's very risky.
Indeed. Both players in deep thought. They're very focused on the game, needing to think they know the winner of this match will be moving on to the finals of the World Championship. So he's going to use the seals. Or did he attack the seals?
No, it looks like he used
he's thinking about a response.
Banished Sword Soul Emergence. I believe he chained the seals.
Okay, they're just still thinking. Okay, he was just still thinking.
Yes. So chain the seals, put Baron back into the extra deck. And now we're going to see if we have a seals effect, special summon a dragon.
Maybe Juan has something like Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring. No, it's Cosmic Cyclone.
Chains Cosmic Cyclone, targeting the other face down card. That's Dark Ruler No More.
Wow, the anti-spell was huge, being able to cut off Dark Ruler No More from turning off Chi-Chao and Baron.
Goodness. So even with all the Bystials, it looked like maybe the anti-spell didn't matter, but it turned out that it was incredibly consequential as Bystial Magnemite hits the field.
But he doesn't have the damage. Juan only has 2 cards in hand. I think you're right. Maybe the anti-spell could end up backfiring and holding him back from finishing Santiago off. And with the Magnemite giving him time, there might be a way to get back into this game with... There's quite a good dragon you mentioned last turn. He could search with Magnemite.
His other face-down card was another spell. It was another Sword Soul Emergence.
Oh my gosh, having the Emergence already is insane. I think Emergence is limited to 2. At some point it was semi-limited. I'm not sure if it is
I think
here.
It's a Master Duel.
I think, maybe. It might have been just in Master Duel. Now he's going to add Long Yuan.
And that Baron can come right back.
This is bad for Santiago. This could be it. This could be game right here. He gets the token.
So take another 5,600 or another 1,200, which would put him at 56. He's going to lose the Magnemite to the Baron effect.
And the destruction effect, I believe, is once per turn, but not by name.
Copy though, right?
Is it? I know the negate, but I don't know about
the negation's once while it's face up.
Yeah.
We'll have to check real fast to see how the once per turn how that works.
And he has incredible
But it doesn't
Ecclesia.
matter because incredible Ecclesia is here. The stats of that Magnemite are zeroed out by the effect of Hieratic Seals.
Summons Tae. Banishes Long Yuan's gonna get a Sword Soul token. Synchro Summon.
And yeah, the destruction effect of Baron is just regular once per turn.
And that's it. Juan is moving on to the finals of the World Championship
look
with
at the
Sword
relief
Soul.
in his face there. The anti-spell fragrance did in fact get him there, cutting his opponent off of Chaos Space.
Dark Ruler No More.
Dark Ruler No More. The 2 cards that he absolutely needed there. Unbelievable.
Incredible.
Wow. That was a really, you could feel the tension in the air in that match. That was, I can't imagine having to actually sit there and play that one. But even watching it, I was like,
and it's like a Yugi versus Joey kind of game where, where there are tears in both players' eyes as one's going to be advancing to the finals, while the other one gets to watch their friend make it all the way and potentially be crowned the World Championship, representing Latin America. Juan Mateo Augusto. I can't say his whole name, but Pastor. He has so many names, but oh my gosh, incredible.
Sword Soul taking it all the way to the finals. Incredible. Sword Soul, it's amazing because it's kind of dropped off a little bit in terms of regular play everywhere in all regions. But here at the World Championship, it's gotten a new lease on life, and it's brought a duelist all the way to the finals.
It's always just one of those decks that's kind of hanging